Hello. I had several people ask me about this lab and the restaurant chart that's given. Specifically, people had questions about the stratified section and the 25%. So I wanted to take a minute and kind of talk through how this works. The first thing it asks for is simple random sample, and we have 84 restaurants total here. So I would go to a random number generator, which you can just look up on Google. And you're going to run this between 1 and 84, since there are 84 restaurants, 15 times. So suppose the first one I got was 42. Then I would go back to my list and I'd choose number 42, Bombay Oven. And I would do this 15 times. Now, if you randomly generated another number and it came out to be 42 again, you're just going to run it one more time because you're not going to choose the same restaurant twice. So if you get a duplicate, you just run it one more time and pick the next one. So then I would get 54. I'd go back to my list, and 54 would be Gervais. So you would just run that 15 times where each restaurant is just as likely to be chosen as the rest. The next, I'm not sure which order the lab works in, but the next one I'm thinking of is systematic. And so systematic is a bit like choosing a number to leapfrog. I think of this as the leapfrog method. And so I'm going to go to the random number generator again, and I'm only going to choose one number this time. So between 1 and 84, I'm going to use something smaller than between 1 and 84. I'm going to use between 1 and 10 because I don't want to count 84 each time. So I get 5. And if 5 is my number for systematic, I would choose 5 here for Senior Taco. I would jump 5 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you could just count by 5, so we get 10. I'd add sweet peas. Then I go 10 more down to Garden Fresh. 10 more, I don't know how to pronounce this, Chekajababi, maybe. 25, Rangoli. 30, Creekside Inn, and I would just keep going in 5s, leapfrogging each time until I had the 15 I needed for my sample. The last one that it asks for is cluster, and I'm going to talk about that first because stratified is the one that people actually had the most questions about. So cluster, what you want to do with cluster sampling is you want to take each of the groups. So I'm going to use the areas, so San Jose, Palo Alto, Los Gatos. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those groups. And so out of those 7, I want to maybe pick 2 groups. Let's try that. And so in that case, I want to run the number generator between 1 and 7, and I want to choose twice. So I get 7. I got 7 again, so I'm going to choose one more time. And number 2. So I go back to my list, and if I number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as my areas, I would choose number 2, Palo Alto, and number 7, Santa Clara. And my sample would consist of all of the restaurants in Palo Alto. So I'd list all of these, and then I would list all of the restaurants in Santa Clara. So the cluster method takes everything in the group that you're looking at. The last one that we want to look at is stratified sampling. In stratified, we want to look at each one of these layers. Notice none of the restaurants overlap. They're all just in one area. And so one question is to take 25% of each area. In San Jose, to find what 25% would be, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 restaurants in San Jose. 25% of 13 is about 3. So I'm going to choose, it's a little more than 3, but it's a decimal. So I'm going to round down to 3, and I'm going to randomly choose between 1 and 13 for this. And I want to pick 3 numbers. So I'm going to go between 1 and 13, and I'll choose 3 numbers. So in this case, I get 11, 5, and 1. So 11, 5, and 1 are my numbers. Well, 1 is this very first restaurant. 5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be Emperor's Guard. I'm going to renumber these. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 is Eulipia. So those would be the 3 that I chose from San Jose. The next group, we're going to do the exact same thing. So when we're doing a stratified sample by area, we want to look at the rows and not the columns. So again, I want 25%, so I have to count how many there are. Here's 3, 6, 9, and 12. So this one's pretty easy. 25% of 12 is exactly 3. So I would run the exact same thing, except when I go to my random number generator, I'm going between 1 and 12 and choosing 3 times. So I would choose 5, 11, and 1. 5, 11, and 1. So 1 in this new group would be Senior Taco. 2, 3, 4, 5 would be PA Joe's. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 would be Madalena's. So that's the method for looking at the stratified version for areas. Now, when it asks you for a stratified sample using cost or using price, I'm not sure how it's worded, now we want to look at these columns. So we are looking at the under 10 column first, and we want 25% of those. So we have 28 in the first row, or first column, I'm sorry, we're doing columns now. We have 28 in our first column, and we want 25% of that. So that's going to be 7 different restaurants. So now I would run, we have 28 to choose from, and I want 7 restaurants. So now I use the random number generator. I want to go to 28, and I would choose 7 different numbers. So 18, 19, 5, 8. I probably won't be able to remember these as I go back and forth. But I would choose 18, 19, Samrat, Panda Inn, Senior Taco, and whichever the other 7 of the 7 numbers there were. And you want to do that for each of the different price columns. So I hope that's helpful. If you still have questions, I'm certainly available through email and student hours, so please feel free to reach out if I can be of assistance. Thanks.